Outside the modest room of a woman named Nancy, a secret unfolded, hidden from prying eyes. It was a place where the glamour of Elvis Presley's life took an unexpected turn. Here, behind closed doors, away from the prying gazes at the front gate, a different Elvis emerged. This Elvis wasn't the one seen on stage, dazzling crowds with his charisma and voice. Instead, it was the man who needed care, a man with a softer side that few knew existed. Nancy was just doing her job, but the job was anything but ordinary. She worked at Graceland, Elvis's grand estate, ensuring that the celebrities' guests had drinks, but only in a certain way. She made sure they left through the back, never the front. It was a small act of discretion, a secret she kept along with a few others who worked closely with the king. One day, however, things changed. Nancy found herself in a situation she could never have imagined. It was during Elvis's wedding to Priscilla, a momentous occasion that drew huge crowds. As a nurse, Nancy had to be discreet, serving drinks in her uniform, but this time, she witnessed a side of Elvis few had seen. He was kind, considerate, and surprisingly down to earth. This was the Elvis who would, months later, invite Nancy to be his nurse, a request that seemed more like a dream than reality. At first, it seemed impossible. Nancy had her own job, her own life, but something about the idea appealed to her. Maybe it was the chance to be closer to the man who had touched her life in unexpected ways. So she agreed, thinking it would be for just a few weeks. Little did she know, it would change everything. Elvis's home, Graceland, became her second workplace. For 2.5 years, she would visit him, sometimes staying over, always ready to help. They didn't call it a relationship in the traditional sense. It was more like a bond formed out of shared moments and understanding. Nancy was there not just to nurse him physically, but to talk, to listen. Elvis needed someone to share his thoughts with, someone who would understand without judgment. Despite his fame and fortune, Elvis remained humble and kind. He gave away cars, jewelry, and even a diamond chain, each time Nancy firmly declining any payment or extra gifts. He valued her friendship over material things. To him, the real treasure was her presence, her willingness to be there for him without expecting anything in return. Elvis once told Nancy something that stuck with her, that she was one of the few people who wanted friendship from him, not something more. It was a simple statement, but it revealed a depth of understanding between them. He was a man who cared deeply, not just for those around him, but for the world beyond his reach. People often spoke poorly of him, but Nancy saw a different man, compassionate, intelligent, and deeply human. He wasn't childish or immature, despite what some claimed. Elvis had a sense of humor, loved to play with toys, but also read extensively on religious and medical subjects. He was a man who thought deeply, who cared about more than just his music and fame. His temper, when it flared, was always about something personal, something he couldn't ignore but didn't let consume him. For Nancy and others who worked closely with Elvis, he was more than a celebrity. He was a friend, a man who made their lives richer just by being in their presence. Becky Yancey, his longtime secretary, shared similar sentiments. She spoke of a special bond, a family-like atmosphere at Graceland, where everyone pitched in to support their unique leader. Elvis's intelligence shone through in conversations, his love for books evident in his vast collection on various subjects. He sang less often than fans imagined, mostly when friends visited or when playing the piano. At Graceland, he was at home, surrounded by those who knew and appreciated him for who he truly was. In the end, it wasn't just the music or the fame that defined Elvis Presley. It was the man behind the legend, a man who touched lives, who cared deeply, and who found true friendship in the most unexpected places. Outside that small room at Graceland, a different king reigned, a king of kindness, compassion, and genuine human connection. Elvis Presley had friends who knew him deeply, like George Klein, who called him the best friend I ever had. For these friends, remembering the past was crucial. It wasn't just about reminiscing, but holding on to the essence of who Elvis was. Elvis was someone who valued loyalty and kept old friends close, even as he became famous and moved into the grand world of Graceland. Joe Esposito, another friend, remembered how Elvis would laugh with him and share similar interests. They were part of a lively crowd parties with lots of girls, 10 guys to 20 girls, all having a great time. But selecting who joined this circle was important to Elvis. He looked for people who were outgoing, fun, and had great taste. He wouldn't touch a married woman, though he had a soft spot for women, having a close bond with his mother. To Elvis, women were special, but he also enjoyed the company of his male friends. Elvis did not shy away from women, but he never crossed lines. He would introduce women he thought his friends would like. Fred Frederick, who knew Elvis from his teenage days, visited the mansion and was amazed by something that would later become famous: Elvis's love for motorcycles, specifically Harley-Davidson motorcycles, considered the best in the world. What struck Frederick was not just the presence of these motorcycles, but where Elvis kept them. Elvis was meticulous about keeping everything. He never threw anything away, not even old shirts or furniture. After his death, it was discovered that Elvis had 8 warehouses filled with his belongings. One warehouse alone held a mountain of unwashed shirts, piled so high that a Harley-Davidson was hidden underneath. Elvis loved his things so much that he kept every single one, even if it meant storing them in massive quantities. Elvis's home, Graceland, was where his friends gathered, making it the heart of their social life. George Klein noted that beyond the fame, Elvis was a great person to be around. He was someone who wanted friends and support, even if he sometimes struggled to show it openly. Bill Halton, a lawyer with a connection to Elvis through his father, who was a youth minister, shared insights into Elvis's early life. Elvis was a boy from Lauderdale Courts who found solace and charisma in the Pentecostal church where Halton's father ministered. Elvis was drawn to the church's lively services but faced rejection when he wanted to join the choir. This rejection was possibly tinged with racism, as the church was all white and struggled with the idea of integrating black music into their services. Despite this setback, Elvis's influence transcended racial barriers. He blended different musical styles and brought people together, breaking down walls of segregation in Memphis and beyond. Halton acknowledged that while racism still existed, Elvis had a unique ability to unite diverse groups of people through his music and persona. He was seen as a beloved figure by many, even by those who might not have initially embraced such inclusivity. Elvis's impact on Memphis was profound. The city, and Graceland in particular, became a pilgrimage site for fans worldwide. People came from all corners of the globe to pay homage to the king. It was a testament to his lasting legacy. However, this legacy also brought challenges, like when Halton's mother tried to visit Elvis at Graceland but was denied entry by security. It was a poignant reminder that even in death, Elvis's life continued to evoke both admiration and sometimes barriers. In the years that followed, Memphis remained deeply connected to its most famous son. Elvis's influence remained a source of pride and identity for the city, even as it grappled with its past. The story of Elvis and his friends, their laughter, their music, and their motorcycles continues to be a vital part of Memphis's story, a reminder of a time when one man's charisma and talent could change the world. Ray Walker, a close friend and collaborator of Elvis Presley, shared many insights about the king of rock and roll. To many, Elvis had a voice that wasn't considered top-notch. But Ray saw something special in Elvis that others might have missed. Elvis was a great storyteller through his music, much like Johnny Cash, but he had a unique ability to convey feelings and messages without always having a perfect voice. Elvis had a deep respect for the Jordanaires, his vocal group. He had known them since 1956, and their harmonies meant a lot to him. Elvis loved their spiritual songs and country tunes. He even wanted to improve his own voice to better match theirs, showing how much he valued their sound. In the studio, Elvis would pause to work on specific words or sounds, like making the word "tonight" stand out in a song. He knew he wasn't a traditional country singer, but he loved the opera and Italian artists like Mario Lanza. Ray noticed Elvis was very aware of his surroundings when performing. He drew energy from everyone around him, whether it was his band or the audience. Elvis was always focused, noticing every detail like a good horn line or a mistake in a performance. This attention to detail showed his dedication to his craft, but being with Elvis wasn't just about the music. Ray and Elvis had deep conversations about life, clothes, and even Elvis's fears. Elvis wanted to protect his fans and prevent them from getting hurt, showing his caring side. For Ray, working with Elvis was a dream come true. He first met Elvis after he became famous and continued to work with him over the years. Elvis's style and stage presence were as important as his voice. His jumpsuits, though sometimes exhausting to wear, were a big part of his identity. He dressed to suit the occasion, and his clothes even affected how he sang. Elvis was quick to show emotion, whether it was anger or a gentle moment, but he always did so positively.